and welcome back to another little video from me, Amanda, Mrs. G Makes. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest as well under the name of Mrs. G Makes. I have an Etsy shop as well where I sell stitch markers and lots of other yarn related notions. So pop along and have a look for yourself, have a little browse and maybe see if there's anything that you like the look of. Now, the reason I popped on today is to tell you all about my July top 3. The July top 3 products that were my best sellers in my Etsy shop. Each month I do a post on Instagram and Facebook letting everybody know what my top 3 selling items were. And I thought it might be quite nice to do a little video just to show them to you, because it's very different seeing a still photograph to actually seeing them in real life, so to speak. I also thought I'd give you a little sneak preview or a little insight into what the runners-up were, the 4th and 5th place markers within my shop, because I don't know about you, but I'm often intrigued. I won't say nosy, I'm intrigued as to what other people purchase. I think my shop's got something like 90 items in. I might be wrong, but I'm sure there's about 90 different items in my shop. And so it's not always easy. I don't think Etsy is the easiest of shops to navigate. So this way I thought I could just show you a few more bits rather than just the top 3. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's show you what was in. Oh, how shall I do this? Shall I start and go 1, 2, 3? Okay, so let's start with, we'll do it the other way round. We'll start at 5th place and work our way up to the top place. So, like I say, nobody else knows what the other positions were because I only do the top 3 on Instagram. So you're the first ones to find this out. So not quite making it into the top 3 in 5th place were these stitch markers. Now, in case you wondered, you know, you might have stumbled across my channel and not really be aware of what stitch markers are. They're used by knitters and crocheters predominantly to mark a place within their pattern. It could be to mark their final stitch, keep that safe so that it doesn't all unravel, or it could be in a complicated pattern, you need to mark different positions because you've got to return to that point at some point in the pattern, point further on in the pattern. Now these ones are a relatively recent design of mine, and they are counting stitch markers, very handy for when you're making blankets. These ones go up in increments of 20 all the way up to 100. So you've got a 20, a 40, 60, 80 and 100. I've also recently started making them in multiples of 50. So 50 to 250. And because I manufacture them myself here at my headquarters, I can do pretty much any colour that you want and any numbering system. So I've had some people ask for the odd numbers in between. So 10, 30, yes, I'm going to have to think now. 10, 30, 50, 70 and 90. So that's just part of, I suppose, one of the perks of running a small business. I can be flexible like that and you know, be quite specific to people's requests with custom orders. So this was in 5th place, and it's available, as I said, in any colour you want, but in my shop it's listed as pink, purple and duck egg blue, and then like a true blue as well. So they're really rather nice, those. So that was 5th place. fourth place was another relatively new one, and there are lots. The listing is for one stitch marker, and they are, look at these cute little, how if it was the right way round, cute little gummy bears. Look at those. And they're available in lots of different colours. I think there's about 8 different colours that this comes in. It's a pink one. So again, very different to see them in the flesh to just on a flat photo. So lots and lots of colours. So they were very popular, but again, didn't quite make it into the top 3. Now, in third place, now this I'm intrigued by, because in third place was my row counter stitch markers. So these are the traditional row counters. You may have seen your family members use these over the years. These have been around for a very, very long time. But I've just pimped them in true Mrs. G style with some gorgeous beads. And I've added a clasp to the top so they can actually be hooked onto your work. These were, when I was growing up, I can remember my mother knitting with these, and it would, it's just the main barrel part, and that would slide onto the knitting needle. But now anybody can use it, whether you're doing crochet or any sort of yarn related or any project where you need to keep track of rows. You can just hook it on, leave it there, and that's it. So that's available in red and blue, and the colours of the beads might vary depending on what I have in stock. So where's the front? There's the front there. And in fact, these beads almost match my nails, don't they? Look, bit of Barbie pink going on there. This one's got the lobster clasp on. All my stitch markers come with a choice of clasp. You can either go for the lobster or the slightly bigger lever. And there's also the solid hoop for use by knitters. So that was in third place. And I'm sure, so these have been in my shop a little while, and I've had a steady flow of orders over the last few months. But suddenly, in the month of July, it went crazy. And hardly a day went by when I didn't get an order for these. And I'm like, how has that happened? Now, from experience, it normally happens when somebody has tagged me in a post or, you know, shared them somewhere on social media. Now, I've not seen a post that's tagged me specifically in these, but you know what social media is like. Sometimes we don't always see, for whatever reason. It chooses not to tell us, doesn't it? And it clearly didn't choose to tell me, because I'm convinced somebody tagged my shop in these markers, because it has been such a busy month. So lots of you getting super organised, being able to keep track of your rows with those wonderful markers. So that was third place. Second place, now these are never out of the top 3. I'm not quite sure what it's going to take for these to move out of the top 3. But it was my Seaside range of stitch markers, and you all love my Seaside range of stitch markers. There are so many in this listing. In fact, I'm going to have a quick count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You've got 15 to choose from. And every so often I add some more, maybe take one range out and replace it with another, but there's so many to choose from. Lovely fish, a starfish. I love this one. Deck chair with a parasol. This one's popular. Beach girl. What else is there? This is new this year to the range. Bucket and spade. In fact, see if I can't hold that still. So it's a bucket that says sand on it. And then there's an actual little spade. Look, isn't, oh, that's just the cutest. These are all decorated with frosted glass beads. They remind me of sea glass, which a lot of people... I'm not quite sure where I got to there. My phone suddenly decided to run out of memory, so I hope the angle hasn't changed too much. So I think I was just saying that the seaside themed range was my second top seller in my Etsy shop this month. And I'm not surprised because, like I say, there's 15, I think we counted, 15 different charms for you to choose from. And I know lots of you are building up quite a collection, and I've got most of them, if not all of them, but I shall not be mentioning any names, obviously, client confidentiality and all that. But you know who you are. Now then, top place. I was so pleased to discover what my top seller was, and I'll show that to you now. It was the stitch markers inspired by Eleonora Tully of Coastal Crochet fame, her latest blanket crochet along entitled Tropical Shores. And it's got quite a lovely story to that blanket, and if you pop over and look at her blog you'll find out all about it, but it relates to her honeymoon, and she shares snippets of her diary that she kept from that time when she was married. And so I was very lucky, and I got a sneak preview of some of the blankets, so I was able to design the stitch markers to reflect that, to reflect the pattern. So there's a flip-flop, very cute flip-flop, gorgeous. Now I say shell, but it might be, is it an anemone? And then I think it's a shell. Oh, my sister will be cringing. She's probably shouting at the screen what the correct word is, but it's okay. I'm her little sister, so I can get away with it. And a palm tree. Now, these are also decorated with the shells. In fact, I think that's what, when the recording broke off, I was talking about the beads that remind me of sea glass that you're able to find on beaches. I never have been fortunate enough to find any sea glass, but I'm assured that one day Eleonora has told me that if I look hard enough I will find it. So I wanted these frosted beads to reflect the sea glass, which Eleonora does a lot with sea glass. She talks about that a lot in her blogs. So that's it. That's what was number one, my top seller. You all loved that, and I'm guessing that you are the ones. I mean, obviously you don't have to be making a blanket in order to purchase a set. You might just like the look of the stitch markers and want to add to your collection. But yeah, they were my top selling ones. But I wonder what next month will bring. It will be interesting. I'll be very surprised if the seaside ones aren't in there, because like I say, I think pretty much every month since They were one of my first listings, and I think every month, if I was to go back over 2 years, then they would be there, because you just absolutely adore those. So thank you for loving those as much as I do. So that was my top 3, well, top 5 actually, wasn't it, because I let you know what the 5th and 4th place markers were, just to give you an insight into what other people are buying. Now, while I've got these cards, I'm going to show you something else which you don't often, maybe often gets overlooked on social media. But on the reverse of my cards, the presentation cards for your stitch markers, is a grid from 1 to 100. And the idea is that you've got something that you can pop in your project bag, and because we all know we lose our pieces of paper that tell us which row we're on. Now, of course, you have got the handy row markers that I sell, but in case you haven't got one of those, or you're using it on another project, then with every order that you place in my Etsy shop, your stitch markers will be presented on one of these cards, so you've got a handy row counter. When I very first designed these, I didn't want just another piece of packaging that got thrown away. So this to me felt like it was good use of what otherwise would have been just a blank card. And handy tip here, if you use one of those friction erasable pens, then you can reuse this grid over and over again. Right, well, I think that's it. I shall finish my coffee, and then I've got some making to do. Lots and lots of stitch markers to do, ready for the subscription club, because it's that time of the month when I have to get my subscription club stitch markers all ready to ship out to you all. But I'll talk about that in another video. We'll save that for another time. Well, I hope you have a lovely day. I hope the weather's better with you than it is here. As I record this on the 4th of August, it is pouring with rain, and not very warm at all, hence my jacket. So have a lovely rest of the day, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.